Everyone wants an influencer, but not every brand actually needs one.
And in 2026, bigger followings don't automatically mean bigger results.
If you're wondering whether to work with micro influencers, macro creators, or skip influencers altogether, this episode's going to save you time, money, and frustration. So let's reset the conversation, because influencer marketing looks very different than it did even 2 years ago.
Influencer fatigue is real. Audience are more skeptical with what they're seeing, who they can trust, what's true, what's an ad, what's not, and everything else in between that. People are quicker to scroll past anything that feels like an ad, even if they like the creator. I know I've done that myself. I'm like, this is really on brand with this creator, or this is something I really want to see.
Yeah. Trust erosion didn't just happen overnight. It's the result of over-monetization of these social media posts of these influencers. A lot of times trust has shifted from celebrity-style influence to more relatability. Someone that comes to mind is Bethany Frankel. So she was on The Real Housewives of New York, and I used to watch the show avidly. And even if you don't watch it, you pretty much know who she is because she's online and she's saying, look, I don't need money. I'm going to give these honest reviews. I'm not paid by these brands. And here's what I think. And people love it. But when you have some of these influencers, posting saying, this product, that product, because they just need money, it feels inauthentic versus them aligning, saying, yeah, maybe I am working with this brand and getting a cut, but I also believe in it because, or like, I'm also very into wellness and so are they. And if they already have that established brand, it just feels right.
Another person, of course, she's a mega celebrity, Kim Kardashian, but she has been in interviews and said that she has turned away certain brand.
Oh, I'm sure hundreds
deals,
of them.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
One specifically in mind that just completely does not line with her brand. And it was a fashion brand, fast fashion. Obviously, that's not her, but it was like, she's like, obviously I do brands because I resonate with them, but she doesn't need it. So, she's someone I would trust.
Exactly. And follower count is no longer the primary success metric.
That's something we see a lot. Someone with 8,000 followers may interact and that does
reply to comments,
have a real human behind the screen. And that's something that we really prioritize rather than someone with 500K. It doesn't really
they might feel so distant or so far off that they can't connect.
Yeah, as a brand, it just doesn't really do anything for you.
Yes, recently at a SFIMA event, SFIMA is the South Florida Interactive Marketing Association. I'm on the board for it, and it has monthly educational meetings, and we had an influencer talk, and she became an influencer not because she really wanted to, per se, like it just naturally kind of happened. And she has over 100,000 followers, but it's not too big of an audience that she can't engage and answer questions and interact.
Yeah.
It's not a million. And she gets all these trips, with Hilton and here. And she's doing all these great deals with her family and making a real income from it. But it aligns and it's still manageable of a number that those brands see a value.
Yeah, that's what we all really prioritize.
Yeah, influence today is about connection and not reach.
And algorithms themselves on each platform prioritize such different metrics in terms of watch time, saves, shares, and conversations.
Yes, and that's more than it used to be. How many likes, how many just comments. Now it's more of how long can that post go? How much further can it go than just a like?
Yeah, even like we said, followers, and some people, can buy followers. So they have all these followers.
Yeah, it doesn't count anymore.
How many people are not even just viewing, but like we just said, interacting.
Taking that next step. And as we know, platforms are optimizing for one core goal. They want to keep their users on the app longer. We tell our clients this all the time. Why does Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok want you to click and go elsewhere? They don't. They want you to stay put. So if you can have people staying there watching this great content, someone for a good example is Alex Earle. She's always doing her getting ready videos and she's consistent. She said when she was first starting out, she was posting 3 to 5 videos a day. And that was getting people on the app and staying on the app. And that's pushing people out there.
She also does. She said, come back for part 2. So people are waiting or they're like, I'm first to see this. They want to see more and they're coming back to these apps.
Yeah, so then she's making bank and influencer deals because people are seeing the staying power. They're seeing that she's there and she's connecting the audience and keeping an audience. It's not just she's a follower and they're gone. They're checking in. It's the longevity and the platform's promoting it because it's getting people to stay on the platform. And platforms make more money when people stay engaged and come back.
And people are like, the comment sections are always hilarious.
Yes.
Because it's like its own community in the comment section.
Yes. So brands who are chasing vanity metrics can be disappointed if they're looking, solely at, let's work with this person quick. They have, 50,000 followers. And I've worked with 50,000 followers. While it doesn't seem like a lot for a small brand, that can be huge. But I've worked with those people who have 50,000 followers because a brand or a client made it happen, or it was their friend. And maybe they only get 10 likes on a post, or maybe not a lot of comments.
That's kind.
Exactly. And just because they have influence doesn't necessarily mean they have persuasion. And just because they have a following doesn't necessarily mean their followers care to take action for your product.
Right. Are they converting?
Yeah. Just because someone can get attention doesn't mean they can drive action. I think a lot of times people, even when they come to hire us for social media, they realize like, oh, I've hired someone before you who was an influencer and they did our social media for our company, our brand, but they don't know what they're doing because they only can do it for themselves. And then they come to us and like, oh, you're an actual agency that actually has strategy and drives results. And we're not influencers. And I'm like, correct. We're not, that's two different assets of social media. I studied the marketing side of it. And there's an art to being an influencer as well, but they're very different. And if you're a company, you want to hire someone with results and not necessarily someone that's an influencer to manage your company.
You've seen like job listings and it's like social media manager and it's like, it's really a content creator is what they're looking for.
Yes. And even just because they're an influencer, they might not even be a content creator either.
Yeah.
Just because their videos of them, like a selfie of them or what they do might be great, but they also might not be able to create content.
They're also probably, a lot of them may also hire agencies to manage their social media.
Yeah.
They're not even sometimes the ones editing the videos.
Yes.
They have someone behind the scenes.
Exactly. And that gets us talking about micro versus macro influencers.
They each serve very different purposes, and confusion can cost brands lots.
Yeah. So at the top level, micro is small but highly engaged audiences. So you think like 10K to maybe 100K. It's smaller. And then macro is that large
reach.
Yes. But it's lower intimacy. Micro influencers are known to have higher engagement rates, stronger trust, better for conversions and niche products because it's a very small influencer. Like say it's a mom in Boca, right? The people following are probably other moms in Boca and they're going to be very engaged in the Boca scene.
Yeah, just very niche, and that's like something when I look for on social media itself. It's like if I'm traveling somewhere, like I want to find like a niche creator like Phoenix foodie.
Exactly. Like I just went to Charlotte and I have a client in Charlotte and we have an influencer, like a media night. And we invite all these influencers to come to the event. They get content, they post about it. And that makes sense because their followers are going to want to come to this event. Exactly. We're not having, some major influencer celebrity come all the way to Charlotte for this one event that their followers probably will never see.
Right.
So it's knowing your audience, knowing your brand. And then macro is big for awareness, visibility, brand association, but often has a weaker, direct return on, investment. But macro is good for those like national brands.
Right.
A brand that's everywhere, like a Wendy's or some sort of car, something that everybody can get.
Just saw like Williams-Sonoma, like big ones where like,
yes,
where you want like UGC like content.
Yes.
From this creator.
And micro influencers don't really feel like ads. It feels like a recommendation. Wow, I just tried this great restaurant here in Fort Lauderdale. You've got to go. Whereas macro, it can feel more like a commercial.
Yeah.
And that's why micro creators often outperform on click-through rates, on saves, on direct messages, and purchase intent. But like I said, macro does have a purpose, like the big product launches, a big mass market campaign, a big budget-backed brand awareness. I mean, you're going to see this now with the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is coming up, and it's actually this weekend. And you'll see that people are, those big brands, if they're going to spend all that money, they're going to have celebrity endorsements, and they're probably going to take it a next step and have them use it on social media as well.
Talk about last year, that the commercial with Alex Earl.
Yes, she was in a few last year.
She was in a few, but there was one commercial fully loaded with like all the celebrities.
Yes. So that will take that next step, and that's where it makes sense. I mean, that's a large audience. That's a big budget.
Want everyone to really like recognize who they're seeing.
But if you're a mom and pop restaurant, in Fort Lauderdale, sure, you can have a large audience of South Florida, but your influencer should be South Florida focused.
And I also say you want more exposure. So maybe like supporting like 10, 15 micro influencers versus putting all that budget to one micro influencer.
Yes. And you're hitting all different audiences that
you're getting more content. That way.
Yes. And here's the part that no one talks about. Sometimes the smartest influencer strategy is having none at all. So let's talk about signs that maybe you're not ready to have influencers for your brand or your company.
Well, like we always say, social media cannot fix your broken marketing funnel.
Yes. So if you don't have a conversion funnel in place, not ready.
Definitely. But key signs that you're definitely not ready for influencers is no clear messaging within your product, your brand.
Yes, we talked about messaging in an earlier episode with Melissa and in a lot of episodes as well. But you have to have that clear messaging. Audiences need to know what you are about within a few seconds.
Your brand needs to know, because then sometimes there will be confusion, especially if you're hiring multiple influencers. That's just can't happen.
Another is no defined audience. I talked about that in the last episode when I had Zach on, that if you are marketing for everyone, you're marketing for no one.
Exactly.
So you really have to have a clear defined audience. And as we mentioned, you have to have your funnel in place. And like you said, throwing influencers at a brand will not fix the problem. Just like we say social media won't fix. When we have clients who say, we've done everything, but now we need social media to make our business. It's like, well, that's just one piece of your business.
It's putting,
it's putting all your eggs in one basket. And when you think about marketing, when you think about marketing, I like to think of it as like a pizza pie.
A pizza pie,
has 8 slices, right? And in those 8 slices, social media is one of them. You have email, you have web, you have text messaging. I mean, you have so many other touch points that social media can't save it. You have to think of everything. Everything has to be great first, and then it can enhance it.
I mean, just like we were talking about our last episode, your CTA is not going to fix your bad messaging, your bad campaign.
Right. And neither will an influencer. And that's why I said influencers actually will enhance or amplify what already exists, and they don't create, extra clarity. So brands should prioritize owned content. So when we say owned content, we talk about a lot of times making those videos, making those photo galleries.
Like a content gallery of
your own stuff.
Yes, that your social media manager can pull. Community build a community. Community is huge. Talk about Lululemon does a good job of it when they have their events. Really, really finding a community. Another is building customer testimonials. We have some clients who have some great testimonials.
And that could be better than an influencer.
Exactly. It's like
someone's friend.
Yes. Yeah. And especially in video.
Yes. And we talked about
photo.
Real estate.
Yes.
Real estate's huge. Real estate, you only need someone, to talk about how great you are as a realtor. And that person might have 2 or 3 friends, and that's 2 or 3 homes for sale. That could be your years.
That's like your marketing in itself.
Yes. So don't push for the influencer when you sometimes have your customers and brand advocates right there. And then also think about user-generated content before paying influencers. A lot of times you can get great user-generated content from people just by giving them, if you're a restaurant, offering them, a $300 dining credit to post and give content. Or maybe send them products, send them some
free shipping, free gift with
But even beyond the free shipping or free gift, you can do things in kind. So say you're a clothing brand, you can say, we're going to offer you a whole outfit. And then just send us photos. You don't have to even post about it. We just need content of you in those, photos.
Visit our store. We'll gift you whatever you
exactly. And we just want the photos
out. And that works for very micro.
And like you said, shout us out. But there's 2 different ways to going about it. So you can have those people. Yes, they can also post about it and become like an advocate or brand ambassador. But also you could just hire them to do the content. So you could just give them free things for the content. And that way you're building your own library without hiring photographers, without hiring videographers. It feels authentic. And then you post it. And I think having all of that in place first is so important before having influencers involved, because you're building up your own library.
You're also setting the tone yourself with all of this content, because this is like what you have envisioned, this is what you have in mind, and the influencers have something to look back on, because usually influencers within these negotiations, like it has to be up to, of course, a certain standard.
Yes.
So how are they going to know what to follow if there's nothing already pre-existing?
Exactly. And People forget their own employee or founder-led voices can outperform sometimes influencers. We talk a lot about founder-led brands, and I think people try to get away from it, or they want to be like the secret, like the Wizard of Oz behind a brand.
Right.
And you have to put yourself out there. And it comes to the last conversation I had with Zach, for example. He is a founder-led brand. We're like, you are the brand of Formula Z Cosmetics, of beauty.
Him.
Yes, people want you in that content. People want you talking about it because nobody knows it better than you.
We also, a great example that comes to mind is we have a founder-led client who had a book, and he was the best person to talk about this book versus other readers,
Yes, and people trust other people inside the brand more than people being paid to talk about it. It's almost like Undercover Boss. If you can uncover what's going on in your company and show the behind the scenes and show the day-to-day, just be a real person, people want to do business with someone like that.
Right.
You build trust first and it follows. Then people will start to continue to trust you and your brand. And if your own content isn't converting, influencers aren't going to see it, but you really have to invest in your own library first, then build upon that with an influencer.
So how do you decide? Micro, macro, or nobody?
I think you have to ask 3 questions first. The first is, what's the goal? Awareness or action? I think people forget that sometimes awareness is a perfectly fine goal. Just get people to know what your brand is. And people always just lean into only action. Like, I need ticket sales. I need purchases.
This is how we were talking about the last episode. Like, you just need to sprinkle the seed and just bring awareness. Everyone doesn't need to sign up, learn more in each post or each.
Exactly. And the second question is, do we need reach or trust? Are we trying to get all these people to see it? Or are we trying to get our current audience to really trust and understand? I had a client I worked with a long time ago from another client. It was a collaboration effort. And the product was interesting, to say the least. It was a cream that grows your glutes. And they are not a client currently, but it was very hard to work with them at the time because, and not for anything bad, they just have sold, and it became they got bought under a bigger brand. But a cream that grows your glutes is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So we had to really lean into more getting trust than reach. All these people can see the content. And let's be honest, the content gets a lot of eyes.
It's definitely scroll stopping.
Yes. So we didn't need reach. We needed people to trust the product itself.
And you needed, how you achieve that is with clear messaging.
Yes. And having people actually talk about using it. And that was building trust. So that was an easy question to answer.
To find influencers.
Yes. Everyone wants to grow the glutes. So the next question is, are we solving a niche or mass problem? So if we're talking about that one again, clearly it's a niche problem in the sense of it was very focused on fitness and people who were doing maybe they were doing photo shoots or shows, and they needed, their glutes to look pumped up just for that photo.
Yeah.
Or anything along those lines.
In that moment.
But another brand we talked about in a past episode is Hulkin, which we talked about. There are those rolling bags that are good for groceries.
Anyone who knows Kassie knows what a Hulkin
We know I love a Hulkin. Look up a Hulkin if you've never seen one. That's a mass problem. So they're a national brand. They've been on a lot of different segments. Everyone has some sort of reason to carry or schlep things around, and it's easy, especially if you live in an apartment. If you have kids or dogs, yes,
even in a house.
Yes, everyone has the issues carrying things.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's making sure that once you know that, a mass problem, mass influencer, a niche problem. Say down here, it's I want to avoid traffic and maybe take the water taxi. That's a Fort Lauderdale problem.
Right.
So that's a niche thing that you can solve. Yes.
Problem.
Hire a Fort Lauderdale influencer to go talk about the water taxi, which they've done, and that's going to get your audience excited.
I mean, they had water taxi had influencers specifically just for Art Basel week. And I mean,
and book show,
because I went to the water taxi line and it was insane.
Yes. So
and everyone saw
but they saw that niche problem. That's not going to be a national campaign. That's going to be a South Florida campaign.
And people in New York or anywhere else don't want to see those.
Yes. And budget clarity matters more than creator size. A lot of people ask me, so when you work with influencers, do you give a budget or do you let them give the budget? And it's going to depend. So either you're going to set this budget and see, if it falls within industry standards, if people will take it. Or if they're big creators, they kind of usually already have a pricing sheet, and you can approach them and say, what would you charge for, what are your going rates? And a lot of them will tell you, my going rates is 1 video, 1 reel, or 3 stories, 2 posts, and it's this amount of money. And then you can choose to work from there or negotiate or find a plan that works. But you have to be clear on budgeting from the get.
That's why I said earlier, it's like if you have to think about, X amount of money, do you want to spend it on one influencer or do you want to spend it on 10?
Yes.
Or none.
You have to know your budget.
And
yes.
Spend that money, if it's even lower budget, like focus on hiring a photographer and getting content that you need for in-house.
Exactly. And influencer success, there's a formula. It's alignment plus strategy plus follow through. And the big one, I should bold, highlight, underline,
yellow
follow through. Because a lot of these influencers, they're not business managers. They're really not entrepreneurs. They're influencers. Maybe they're a mom. They're just a side hustle, or they just do it because they love it. But they're not easy sometimes to get on a phone or to get, when's the content coming? When's the post coming?
DMs.
Yes, you have to follow up, have to be on them, and have to nurture that relationship. And when I talk about nurture a relationship, I think people forget no one wants to be told or asked, oh, will you, be an influencer for this product because I need it or because I have a launch? Instead, make that long-term relationship with that influencer, and likely they're going to want to follow through and answer DMs and be part of your campaign because they're already a fan.
They're already so passionate.
A lot of times,
they're already so invested. And even if, they're doing Get Ready With Me and their product's in it, they're going to that video is not a paid ad, but they're going to still want to include your product.
Yes. And if you really want to work with this influencer, even if you're on my dream vision board for my brand, I want to work with this influencer in 3 years, start the long game. Start liking, start commenting as the brand. Not too long ago, with the theater I work with, on accident, Welch's Fruit Snacks was in the background and they commented so fast.
Oh, wow.
And that goes a long way in the sense of if down the line anyone ever wanted to work with each other, they already have a relationship. So it's kind of, don't be so self-serving and only comment and when you need an influencer. Kind of start building that list. I have a lot of clients who have a favorites list of accounts they engage with.
Yes.
Which is good for partnerships down the line, because then it's not a big ask later of let's do something together. It's of course, I've been following you for years. Or you always
experience if you're using no influencer.
Right. And you always are, a big fan of ours. So we're a big fan of you. So that can go a long way.
I mean, it's also just interacting and keeping the connection social on social media.
Yes. Isn't that such a wild term? Keeping everything social on social media?
The best influencer strategy is one that supports the brand, not the trend.
Exactly. So if this episode helped you rethink influencer marketing, share it to your stories, tag at You Heard of Your podcast, because influence isn't about being seen by everyone. It's about being trusted by the right audience.